Something feels off about Christmas today. We celebrate it louder than ever. Brighter lights, bigger trees, longer shopping lists, endless playlists looping the same songs. And yet, every December, the same strange feeling returns. Exhaustion, emptiness, pressure. A holiday meant to bring peace somehow leaves many people more tired than before it began. That's the paradox. Because if you look back, far back, Christmas was once painfully simple. No shopping carts, no delivery deadlines, no curated perfection. And yet, for centuries, people waited for it with a depth of meaning that feels almost foreign now. So what changed? This is not a nostalgic fantasy, it's an investigation. A story about how Christmas moved from a sacred pause in human time to a high-speed commercial season that never truly lets us rest. A story about what we lost, what replaced it, and why so many people quietly feel disconnected during the very holiday that promises connection. In the old world, Christmas was not an event. It was a threshold. Winter was harsh. Darkness arrived early and stayed long. Food was scarce. Life slowed because it had to. When Christmas came, it didn't interrupt abundance. It broke scarcity. It was light placed deliberately in the deepest dark. The celebration unfolded slowly. Candles, not LED strings. Shared bread, not endless packaging. Songs passed through generations, not optimized by algorithms. The rhythm of Christmas followed the rhythm of human bodies and seasons. People didn't prepare Christmas by buying more. They prepared by waiting. Advent mattered. Silence mattered. The stillness before the feast mattered as much as the feast itself. Contrast that with today. Modern Christmas doesn't arrive. It explodes. It begins earlier every year. Decorations appear before winter. Sales start before reflection. Music loops before meaning has time to form. Instead of anticipation, we experience saturation. Instead of silence, constant noise. Instead of waiting, relentless urgency. And we're told this is progress. But here's the uncomfortable comparison. Medieval communities lived harder lives, yet their Christmas restored them. Modern societies live easier lives, yet Christmas drains them. That contradiction forces a question we rarely ask. What the hell changed? At first glance, it seems obvious. Technology, capitalism, scale. But those are surface answers. The deeper shift happened somewhere else, at the level of purpose. Old Christmas was oriented inward and upward. Modern Christmas is oriented outward and transactional. In the past, Christmas asked, "Who are we, together, in the face of darkness?" Today, Christmas asks, "What have you bought to prove you care?" That subtle shift rewired everything. Gift-giving once symbolized survival and shared fate. Now it symbolizes performance. Decorations once marked sacred time. Now they mark commercial seasonality. Even joy itself has become something to display, photograph, and validate. This isn't accidental. It's systemic. Just as modern food systems transformed bread into an industrial product stripped of its original meaning, modern culture transformed Christmas into a consumable experience, optimized for speed, volume, and profit. And just like with bread, the transformation didn't happen because people wanted something worse. It happened because systems rewarded efficiency over depth. Think about how we do Christmas now. We measure success by quantity. Number of gifts, size of tree, scale of celebration. We compress rituals that once unfolded over weeks into a single frantic day. We outsource meaning to objects, and when it's over, we collapse, emotionally and physically, wondering why something so joyful felt so heavy. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Modern Christmas is overstimulating because it was never designed for human nervous systems. It was designed for markets. Old Christmas aligned with biology. Short days, low energy, communal warmth. Modern Christmas fights. Biology. Late nights, constant social pressure, financial stress, endless consumption. We force cheer instead of cultivating it. And the body knows the difference. That's why so many people feel lonely at Christmas, even when surrounded by others. Loneliness isn't about absence of people. It's about absence of meaning. Historically, Christmas anchored meaning through repetition and restraint. The same songs, the same rituals, the same foods. Familiarity wasn't boring. It was grounding. Today, novelty is constant. New trends, new gifts, new expectations, and nothing settles long enough to root. We've replaced ritual with spectacle, and spectacle demands energy, not reverence. This is the first fracture, but there's a second, deeper one. Old Christmas belonged to time. Modern Christmas is owned by clocks. In the past, time slowed because survival demanded it. Winter forced reflection. Christmas fit naturally into that slower pace. Now, time accelerates precisely when Christmas arrives. Deadlines pile up, social calendars overflow. The holiday becomes something to get through. That inversion matters, because when a sacred moment becomes a logistical burden, its meaning collapses. And yet, we still chase the feeling. Every year, we try harder. We buy more, decorate earlier, plan better, as if the right combination of purchases might finally recreate something that was never for sale to begin with. This is where discomfort turns into clarity. The problem isn't that modern Christmas lacks magic. It's that we're trying to manufacture magic externally instead of cultivating it internally. Just like industrial bread looks like bread but no longer nourishes the same way, modern Christmas looks like Christmas, but often fails to nourish the soul. And history proves this isn't inevitable. Christmas didn't lose its meaning because humanity evolved. It lost meaning because systems optimized it for output instead of depth. That realization changes the question entirely. Instead of asking, how do we make Christmas feel special again? We should be asking, what conditions allowed Christmas to matter in the first place? And how did we dismantle them? Because once you see that, you realize something unsettling and hopeful at the same time. What was lost can be remembered. But only if we're willing to question the modern version of Christmas, the same way we've begun questioning modern food, modern speed, and modern definitions of success. This story isn't about rejecting technology or returning to the Middle Ages. It's about understanding why old Christmas worked, psychologically, socially, and biologically, and why modern Christmas often doesn't. And to do that, we have to go deeper. We have to examine how rituals were engineered by time itself, and how modern systems quietly replaced them with something else. That investigation starts next. If you strip Christmas down to its bones, you discover something modern culture rarely talks about. Christmas was never designed to be exciting. It was designed to be stabilizing. In older societies, rituals weren't decorative. They were technologies, psychological and social tools engineered to regulate fear, scarcity, and uncertainty. Christmas functioned as one of the most powerful of those tools. And it worked precisely because it was slow, repetitive, and limited. Modern culture misunderstands this completely. We assume intensity creates meaning. Our ancestors understood the opposite. Constraint creates meaning. Look at Advent. Today, Advent is mostly decorative. Candles, calendars, Instagram aesthetics. Historically, it was structural. A deliberate countdown that trained patience. 4 weeks of waiting that conditioned the nervous system to slow down before celebration arrived. Waiting wasn't a bug. It was the point. The human brain is wired to value what follows restraint. Without delay, pleasure flattens. Without absence, presence loses weight. Christmas mattered because it came after emptiness, literal and symbolic. Modern Christmas erased that emptiness. Food is everywhere. Light never fades. Music never stops. Sales begin before longing has time to form. We no longer arrive at Christmas hungry, physically or emotionally, and so the feast lands on numbness instead of anticipation. This mirrors a pattern we've already seen in modern systems. When abundance becomes constant, satisfaction collapses. Historically, Christmas solved a winter problem. Winter isolated people. It shortened days. It threatened survival. Christmas responded by compressing community, warmth, and meaning into a shared moment. It synchronized people emotionally. Everyone paused together. That synchronization is critical. Modern Christmas is fragmented. Some are working. Some are traveling. Some are consuming alone. Some are posting curated happiness while privately unraveling. The collective pause is gone. And without collective rhythm, ritual loses power. Ritual only works when participation is shared and predictable. That's why repetition mattered so much. The same songs every year, the same prayers, the same stories. Familiarity wasn't laziness, it was neurological reinforcement. Repetition told the brain, "You are safe. This has happened before. You belong." Modern Christmas replaces repetition with novelty. New decorations, new gift expectations, new trends, new pressures. Every year must outperform the last, and novelty demands cognitive effort. It keeps the brain alert instead of settled. That's why modern Christmas feels stimulating but not soothing. The system optimized Christmas for attention, not restoration. And this optimization follows the same logic seen in industrial food, media, and work. Maximize engagement, minimize downtime, monetize emotion. But there's another layer, one that cuts even deeper. Old Christmas rituals were participatory. Modern Christmas is consumptive. In the past, people made Christmas. They cooked together, sang together, prepared together. Even the decorations were often handmade. Labor wasn't outsourced, it was shared. Participation builds ownership. Ownership builds meaning. Today, Christmas is mostly purchased, prepared by corporations, delivered by logistics networks, curated by algorithms. The individual becomes a consumer of Christmas rather than a co-creator of it. And consumption doesn't anchor memory the way participation does. That's why childhood Christmas memories often feel warmer than adult ones. As children, we were embedded in process. As adults, we manage outcomes. We plan. We schedule. We coordinate. We optimize. And optimization kills ritual. Because ritual requires inefficiency, time that doesn't pay off, actions that don't scale, moments that exist for their own sake. Old Christmas had built-in inefficiency, long services, slow meals, repeated songs, empty hours. Those inefficiencies weren't waste. They were the space where meaning formed. Modern Christmas compresses everything. Meals are rushed. Gatherings are shorter. Attention is split. Phones interrupt silence. Even joy competes with notifications. The holiday becomes another task to complete. And when ritual becomes a task, it stops working. This explains something many people feel but struggle to articulate. Christmas anxiety. Not sadness, not anger. Anxiety. The pressure to perform happiness, to meet expectations, to prove gratitude, to make everything perfect. That pressure didn't exist in the same way historically because Christmas wasn't a performance, it was a pause. Performance culture invaded ritual, and systems benefit from that invasion. When Christmas becomes something you perform, you can be sold tools to improve your performance. Better gifts, better decor, better experiences, better memories, packaged and priced. The system doesn't need Christmas to be meaningful, it needs Christmas to be repeatable. So meaning was quietly replaced with output. And yet, despite all of this, fragments of the old Christmas still break through. A candlelit room, a quiet moment after midnight, a shared meal where phones disappear, a familiar song sung without thinking. These moments feel disproportionately powerful because they align with the original design of the ritual. They slow time. They reconnect people. They restore something deeper than entertainment, which raises an uncomfortable realization. Modern Christmas doesn't fail because people are doing it wrong. It fails because the structure no longer supports what Christmas was meant to do. Just as modern bread fails to nourish because its structure was altered for efficiency, modern Christmas fails to nourish because its rituals were stripped of restraint, repetition, and shared participation. This isn't moral judgment. It's systems analysis. When you remove limits, you remove meaning. When you remove waiting, you remove anticipation. When you remove shared rhythm, you remove belonging. And when you remove all three, you're left with spectacle. Bright, loud, empty. But here's where the story turns. Because just as with food, awareness creates choice. Once you understand why old Christmas worked, you can begin to selectively reintroduce those conditions without rejecting the modern world entirely. Not by buying less out of guilt, not by chasing nostalgia, but by rebuilding constraint where it matters. And that leads to the most important question of all. If Christmas was once a technology for human connection, what would it look like to use it that way again, inside modern life? The answer isn't abstract. It's practical, and it begins with small, almost invisible changes that resist system-level pressure. That's where this investigation goes next. The solution to modern Christmas is not rejection, it's redesign. When systems break rituals, the instinct is often to blame individuals. Try harder, be more grateful, slow down. But that misses the point. You cannot will yourself into meaning inside a structure designed to extract attention and energy. Old Christmas worked because its structure protected meaning. So the real question becomes practical and uncomfortable. What parts of that structure can be rebuilt inside modern life without pretending we live in another century? The answer is simpler than most people expect, and harder, because it requires subtraction, not addition. Historically, Christmas didn't add joy on top of life. It carved out space for joy by removing noise. That's the first principle modern Christmas violates. So the first repair is silence. Not total silence, but protected silence. Moments where nothing is optimized. No photos, no performance, no productivity, just presence. Even 10 minutes of candlelight without input does more for the nervous system than hours of stimulation. This isn't spirituality. It's biology. The human brain needs low-input states to process meaning. Without them, experiences slide past without imprinting. Old Christmas had those states built in. Modern Christmas erases them. Reintroducing silence isn't about aesthetics. It's about restoring the conditions under which meaning can land. The second repair is repetition. Modern culture treats repetition as stagnation. Old cultures treated it as grounding. Same meal, same songs, same timing, year after year. Repetition creates continuity across time. It links the present moment to memory. It tells the body, you've been here before, and you survived. That's why repeated Christmas rituals feel comforting even when nothing exciting happens. Comfort is not boredom. Comfort is safety. When every Christmas must be different, novelty replaces continuity. And continuity, not novelty, is what binds people across generations. So the fix isn't better ideas. It's fewer ideas, done consistently. The third repair is participation. Stop consuming Christmas. Start making it again. Cook together, even imperfectly. Sing together, even badly. Prepare together, even slowly. These actions feel inefficient, and that's exactly why they work. Participation shifts the brain from evaluation mode to belonging mode. Consumption asks, is this good enough? Participation asks, am I part of this? Old Christmas embedded people in process. Modern Christmas positions them as critics of outcomes. That shift alone explains much of the dissatisfaction people feel. And here's the critical insight. Participation cannot be outsourced. You cannot buy it. You cannot automate it. You cannot optimize it without destroying it, which is why systems quietly discourage it. Just as industrial food systems discourage home fermentation because it resists scale, modern holiday systems discourage participatory rituals because they resist monetization. The fourth repair is constraint. This is the hardest one. Limits create meaning. Scarcity sharpens appreciation. Boundaries protect depth. Old Christmas had natural constraints: daylight, food, energy. Modern Christmas removed them and replaced them with artificial abundance. Reintroducing constraint doesn't mean austerity. It means choosing limits intentionally. Fewer gifts, chosen deliberately. Shorter gatherings, fully present. Fewer events, more rest. Constraint is not deprivation, it's focus. And focus is the foundation of reverence. Without limits, Christmas expands until it becomes background noise. With limits, it condenses into something felt. The final repair is time. Not more time, but slower time. Slow time emerges when attention is not fragmented, when phones are absent, when schedules are loose, when nothing urgent is allowed to intrude. Old Christmas slowed time because nothing else demanded attention. Modern Christmas accelerates time because everything does. This is why so many people say, "It went by so fast." Speed is a symptom of divided attention. When attention is unified, time stretches. And stretched time is where meaning lives. None of this requires rejecting modern life. It requires resisting its defaults. Defaults exist because they're profitable, not because they're nourishing. Modern Christmas defaults to constant stimulation, continuous consumption, performance-based joy, fragmented attention. Old Christmas defaulted to periodic silence, shared participation, repeated ritual. Collective pause. The difference isn't morality, it's design. And design can be changed, locally, quietly, imperfectly. Here's the most important realization of all. Christmas doesn't need to be saved. It needs to be used correctly. Like bread, Christmas is a technology. When processed too far, stripped of constraints and optimized for output, it stops nourishing. When returned to simpler forms, it feeds something essential. Not nostalgia, not tradition for tradition's sake, but human connection, calibrated to the realities of winter, memory, and mortality. Modern Christmas feels hollow because it asks too much and gives too little. Old Christmas asked very little and gave depth. That trade-off still exists. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You begin to notice which moments feel real and which feel staged. Which moments restore and which exhaust. Which moments slow time and which accelerate it. Those moments are clues. They point back to something humanity once understood instinctively and is slowly relearning. Meaning doesn't come from adding more. It comes from choosing what to leave out. That's the quiet power of Old Christmas, and it's still available if we stop letting systems decide what the season is for.